Funds. How many of us have them? Funds. The ones you can depend on. Get those funds. Welcome to the Balance Your Books podcast. I'm Kimberly.
I'm April.
And I'm Keena.
And we're your balance partners.
All right. This time, what about your friends? Are they going to be around? Are they going to let you down? That's the question. That's the question.
I don't know if that's the lyrics, but
that's the question.
I don't know if those two go together, but you got to know about your friends.
Go back and check, but you got to know about your friends. Welcome to the Balance Your Books podcast. And what do we need people to do first?
Okay, first, what we want you to do is to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. Comment. Let us know if you like it. And we want you to go to yourbalancepartners.com if you really want to get in touch with us and you need anything from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
Set up some time with us. We're happy to set up a quick meeting with you, and you can go to our contact page and you can set up a call with us. So
yeah,
check it out.
Yeah.
What about your friends?
What about your friends? So you're in business, ladies. And you have some great friends like we have here.
We are, yes.
You're in business with them, but are they good employees? Should they be your employee? Should they work for you? What do you think? What do you think? Should they?
Are they going to be around or are they going to let you down?
Right. Are they going to be around or are they going to let you down?
And this is not just friends, but also family.
Yes.
You have to
Friends
know
and family.
who you're going in business with.
Yes.
And you have to be able to separate that personal relationship from your business relationship if needed. You may recall if you met the team, April talked about how when we worked together, if I had the authority, I might have fired her.
Yes, she would have.
At the time. But I mean, it was a different relationship, right?
Yes.
Right? When you go into business with your friends, when you want to give them a job or whatever it is, you need to make sure that they are qualified to do what you're having them do.
Right. Because one of the, a lot of people feel some kind of way about LeBron. I think he's awesome.
Right.
And what I think is interesting about the model, I call it the LeBron model.
The LeBron model.
Is that when he was like, me and my friends were all going to rise together based on the talent that he had, folks went out and actually got degrees or learned about that and then interned other people. Like when I think of with the Crucial Sports.
Yes.
Am I saying it? Yeah. Why is
Well,
the name
don't worry about that.
Okay.
They know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Rich Paul. Gosh,
Rich Paul. I was about to say Adele's boo.
It was like minnow brain. Sorry. But yeah, Rich Paul. Like he went and you has a book as well where he talks about his story on how he learned his craft and how then it was used to then elevate them collectively.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And those are friends who are going out both elevating in their particular professions and then bringing those things together to make it stronger. And then he has a couple other friends as well that he does that with. And what an amazing model that it elevated all of them. All boats rise or whatever they say about that. But yeah, I mean, that is friends who help each other elevate as opposed to one living off the other.
Yes.
I wonder if they elevated off of LeBron's dime, though.
Well,
but I mean, it's like it started with his talent, right?
it started with his
opportunity,
money, and he helped them get their degrees, as opposed to this is my boy, he's my manager. But he hasn't managed anything and doesn't have any, and so that's LeBron model doesn't mean that if you have a business, you have to pay for your friends to get their degrees.
Okay.
But make sure they have the knowledge. Right. And instead of just putting your friend on because oh, they were good at selling candy bars when we were in elementary school. That's going to be my salesperson.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the reason why I asked is
Yeah.
because not everyone has the ability to put their friends through college
Right.
or
Right.
get the proper certification.
Right.
And quite honestly, even if you do those things, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right fit for you. Sometimes when you go through that process, you learn, hey, this really is not what I'm good at.
Yes.
Right.
So, but the concept of making sure that when you have, especially when it comes to hiring friends, but it really relates to hiring anyone.
Right.
Making sure you have the right people in the right place. And
Right.
so, I have in the past referred people to a book that I thought was helpful called Good to Great by Jim Collins, which he gives an analogy about people, your staff, people within your organization, and where are they on the seat and on the bus. And if you're in the right seat on the bus will keep moving forward. And so it's the same concept, same thing with LeBron. If you have the right people in the right place, they can push your organization, enterprise forward.
Exactly. Like the entire bus moves forward,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And there's not somebody who put a little brake that's dragging off the back because they don't know what they're doing.
And quite honestly, there's, as business owners ourselves, there's nothing more gratifying than being able to help your friends, help your family,
Yes.
Help your community, as we've mentioned in other previous podcasts. So, that's always a great thing that we want to do. And in order to do that, you really have to make sure that they are in the right structure within the organization to help move you forward.
Because the word help
That's true.
help gets bastardized.
Okay.
I know, because some people think, see, I can give you $100 and you can eat today, or I can teach you how to make $100 and you can eat forever. And so both of those can be considered help.
Yeah.
But one, is it really helping?
Right.
Or are you an enabler for doing nothing? Let's just be real about that. And so what you want to do is when you are helping and you're helping them to eat further and you're bringing them in your business, you need to be honest about that. The same qualifications that you talked about, April, the same qualifications for anybody who you didn't know to then work for you should be those same qualifications for anybody who is a friend or family to work with you. And if you set that standard from the beginning, anybody in your family, I think my family knows that if Keena says, "Oh, okay, yeah, come work," I've heard, because I have a family who works with us, and she told me, she was like, they told me, like, woo, now if you go over that, Keena will fire you if you aren't doing what you need to do. And I said, that's true. That's true. Right? And you set that standard across the board, because I'm not going to treat you any different than anyone else in terms of the standards that we require for our organization.
Yeah. And favoritism can be picked up by non-friends and family members. And so,
and they start to resent it.
Yes.
And you start to build that resentment in your organization. Right? And you don't want that, because then people spend more time talking about that than actually doing the work.
Right.
And so I guess it's not water cooler conversation anymore, because there's no more water coolers. I don't know. But that's what
we still have one.
Okay, you guys have a water cooler. No one hangs
It looks a
no
little
one hangs out
different.
right. No one hangs out by it anymore.
Yeah,
But you want the conversation to be about how we're growing the business rather than about, she let her daughter do whatever, or that kind of thing. Takes away from it.
Yeah.
And are you all familiar? Because in order to do that, are you all familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
What you talking about, Keena?
That sounds familiar.
You always fancy.
I know, right? That's something. Right. I learned
I
that.
had like one psychology class.
And you know, I used to be a psychology major, so.
Oh, no, really? We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it when we talk about pivoting.
Okay.
But yeah, so I had one. So maybe, and then you probably heard of it then.
I heard of it, yeah, back in
Way back.
in the 1900s.
Right, in the 1900s. Yeah, in the 1900s, that's the one thing I remember from that class was Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it's basically like your baseline needs are like food, water, shelter, and then it goes up to like support and then something else. It's a triangle. At the highest point of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is self-actualization. And what that means is it's a true understanding of yourself and how you relate to others. And it's important that as part of that is it's about really truth and being honest. And so when you're in an organization, as you were talking about earlier, people resenting the fact of if there's favoritism or if they feel like someone is in a role but don't really have the skill set for that role, you know, in those situations, do you even see it? Do you even recognize? Because people will it'll be a very subtle thing they say, you know, Sally Mae, she always comes in late. You know, it's usually something that is like a trail off,
Right.
that someone says, and you could be so wrapped up in yourself and your importance as owner that you don't even notice that the person even said it, right? Or you may be offended by it, as opposed to really being honest around, do you have the right people in the right seat, and are you the reason that they're not?
Right. And
or are in that seat.
Is Sally Mae coming in late all the time?
Right.
And does she think she can come in late because she's your daughter?
Right.
And I think that goes back to what we've talked about before, is having the proper documents. You should have a job description for your roles. A job description that has, this is what you're going to do and these are the requirements that you need to have to do this job, and make sure that the people that you put in those roles, excuse me, meet those requirements. Plain and simple, as opposed to, oh, okay, Johnny is good playing Call of Duty, so he's going to be our IT person.
Right. Or he's over strategy.
Oh yeah, he's over strategy because I don't know anything about Call of Duty.
You picked the game.
I've heard it before. I've heard it in the streets. But yes, good at playing these video games. So now it's gonna be my IT person or whatever it may be. This is your business. And you want to run your business like a business.
Correct.
But in addition to just a job description and people understanding what their expectations are, an employee handbook is helpful as well, because that touches on just this is how the company plans on running and from vacation, office hours, and also, when you're going to get written up and performance evaluations,
Dress
all those type of
code.
things. Dress code, absolutely, all those things can be in your company or employee handbook.
Right, because sometimes that friend or family doesn't report directly to you and may report to another leader on your team. Does that person feel comfortable that if that friend or family is not performing or needs feedback or needs to improve something, do they feel comfortable having that conversation because that person is related to you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Being honest. That's what I mean by self-actualization. Being honest and saying it is okay to provide. Sometimes you have to actually clarify it, open your mouth and state, this is how we conduct things. And you have to always represent it. You can't be the do as I say and not as I do. You need to be doing. You are the reflection of how things are going to operate within that organization. So if it's acting a hot mess, who's a hot mess?
Oh, Lord.
Attitude reflects leadership.
Yes. Who's a hot mess?
Right. You are. Yes.
And so being honest. And so how important is it, excuse me, to have truth tellers
It's very
in your
important.
organization.
Yeah, it's key. And you know what? I feel like we're talking a lot from the owner's perspective, but I think it's also important from the friend or family member who is the employee to be truthful and
Yes.
to talk about what their expectations are. Because, you know, when it comes to hiring a friend or family, friends or family, they may be doing it because, hey, I want to support you. This is your dream.
Right.
Yep.
You heard you talk about it. I want to see it be successful. And so they're all in. But what does all in look like? You know,
Right.
for them? Are they
Right.
working their main job and then coming to your place of business to help you out? Did they quit their main job
Yeah.
or, you know, form of making a wage to be all in with you and support your business, you know? And so I think that even those individuals who make those sacrifices on behalf of the business owner should voice their opinions, their concerns, and even their accolades,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important again to be able to separate your business and your personal relationship
Yes.
because if you hire your cousin and at the family reunion you and
What
your cousin
is it? First cousin, second cousin, or third cousin?
that cousin that cousin and you're at the family reunion and y'all get into it. Is your cousin gonna think, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get fired? But this is personal. We had to be personal. Business should be business. And that's the tricky part though.
Yep.
Because a lot of companies say, we're all family. We're all family. We're family
You're not
here.
family.
And, they want to go out on the weekends and stuff. They want to build relationships and that's cool.
Yeah.
But at some point it separates.
It is.
When you are hiring your friends and family, that line of demarcation is very, very light. It's hard to see where you cross over, and you have to be sure in your self-actualization that you can keep business and keep personal.
Yes.
And be honest with you. If you can't do it, then don't invite it into your business. I mean, if you know that that's not possible for you, and that's that part of being honest about who you are, then maybe you shouldn't do it. And sometimes, let's talk about, April, what you were talking about earlier, that they were there for you at the beginning. They maybe had quit their job. They joined at some point. Sometimes your business gets to a point where it changes. Maybe you've brought in different investors. Maybe you need to downsize because the business isn't doing so well. And their role may be one of the roles you need to let go, right?
Yes.
So what I found with some of our clients is naturally that is really tough.
Yeah.
And sometimes they aren't even wanting to be honest with us about how they really don't want to do it. And I have seen it because it has taken them so long to make those choices. They end up hurting their business even more by holding on to people who I bet were extremely loyal. To your point, they helped them start the business. They were there. They were their cheerleader. And at some point, what I've said to them is, if they really are your friend, if they're not here anymore, now give them good notice, right? Maybe say, normally if you give someone 2 weeks notice, maybe at your company, you give 30-day notice, right? I'm gonna give you 30-day notice, but I know my business right now is not going well. I can't afford it. I'm gonna have to downsize your position. I want to give you some time to find something else. But I've seen them just keep people on to the point that they are near bankruptcy, just because they don't want to let
Have
these
the
other people
difficult
down.
conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a difficult
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, and make the choice,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like Sophie's Choice, I guess. Did y'all see remember that
No,
movie?
I didn't see
No.
Oh,
I don't
okay, all
want
right.
it.
Well, no.
No, we don't know anything about that one, Keena.
Just like
You-
your
It was the baby.
hierarchy.
It was about the baby.
Okay.
Well, you have to make a tough decision.
Okay. Yes,
okay.
Yes.
For color girls, let me give you something else that y'all know. But yeah, it's but you may have to make a tough decision around whether. Well, in that case, the decision's already there, and you need to decide: is this person really your friend? Because even if they aren't there, wouldn't they cheerlead for you?
Right.
Yeah.
Because money's a tricky
Well,
thing.
I mean, okay, let's be real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because money's involved.
Yeah.
Because
And livelihood.
if I quit my job to help you with yours, and then you're coming to me talking about we gotta let go of this position to keep being successful, I'm gonna have a problem with that. You know, it doesn't mean that I don't still want you to be successful, but that's gonna be hurtful.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, but that does not negate the fact that
you
it
gotta do
still
it.
has to happen, and you still have to have the conversation.
Right.
And the more upfront and honest you are from the very beginning,
As quick as possible.
far out in
Yes.
advance as you
Yes.
can, then the better.
Yes.
You know, it still will hurt, but it hurts less.
Right.
And then, you know, instead of being upset, then I'm more understanding.
Yes.
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 So-
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's circle back though. We've talked about who you want to go in business with when you're establishing your business. You start out from the beginning, and let's say you don't even have, you're not at the point where you want to have employees, but you know your sister is helping out by, you know, I'm gonna type up this for you, I'm gonna do this for you, I'm gonna do all that, and then you blow up, and sister's like, wait a minute. I did all this. What about me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I feel like that kind of touches on what I mentioned earlier, in that the person helping you needs to be clear with their expectations and
Yes.
what they want out of it.
Yes, yes.
Some people, like parents, for instance, will break their back for you to be successful, and they don't want anything in return. You know, some. You know.
Yes,
Well, sister still may break the back, but she want to cash in just like you cash in. You know.
Yep.
And then cousin
Which
might
cousin?
just okay. Yeah,
First
you're right.
cousin,
Second,
You're
second
right.
cousin, or
third.
third cousin.
The first.
Okay.
First cousin may be willing to not break the back, but give you a little bit, but even want more.
Right. Right.
You know, like you
Yeah.
taking up every Saturday for the
Right.
past 2 years.
Right.
You think you gonna sell this business and not give me something?
Right,
You know?
right, right.
So, yeah. I mean,
But that's
just-
why you have to have it in writing.
Yeah.
Right, have it in
Yeah,
writing. And even
clear.
if you don't have flashback, even if you don't have a business prenup, as you're going and you're saying, hey, I got something here. And they help me. Let's draw up something.
Yep.
Let's draw up some documents so that I can make sure you're taken care of because you took care of me. And so that goes both ways.
yeah. Oh, I got a good one.
Okay.
Oh, let's hear
Let's
it.
get it.
What do you do when you start the business and it's going well? Sister's helping. She's doing those memos. She's learning everything about the business. And you got to bring in some more people to take it to the next level. She's feeling a little bit different about that. Or she might even be cool with that. But guess what? She said, I could do this business better than her.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And she gonna just
Oh, yeah. And she
Go off
started the
door-
same business.
Oh.
Yeah. And nothing's in writing.
And
Now that's
tricky.
saucy.
that is
Someone's gonna get snatched.
that's when the fallout at the family reunion is real.
Now it is business in person.
Right, we gonna mix
Family
this
reunion.
up. We gonna mix this up.
Yes.
Yeah, that
So
is a tough one.
I have experienced that, and
Yes.
it took the involvement of attorneys to
yes.
help with the disillusion and resolution.
Yeah.
But I'm sure those things happen maybe more than what we think about.
Right.
So,
And that's why you gotta be honest with yourself about your family member and you. Because people show you who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, Maya Angelou, praise her. She said it when she said, when people show you, believe it.
Right.
And people show you all the time what their character is. That sibling probably probably didn't share their Snickers bar when they were little. You saw it then. So you probably shouldn't have had them in your business. So think about that.
Yeah.
Did they grow from that?
But when you first starting out, it's nothing like free labor.
Right.
I get
You
it,
know
but
what I'm saying?
free isn't always free.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Comes with conditions.
it comes with conditions. Free is not always
It's
free.
not always free.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
Kimberly.
I'm back
Wrap
to
it up.
I'm always document.
Yeah.
Have the tough conversations. You should be having the tough conversations anyway. And I'm not going to tell you how to do your personal life, but in your business, have those conversations.
Yeah.
Because you know who you're dealing with. You should know.
Right. That's what it. Be honest.
Be honest. You know who it is. And you've got to really think about, do I want this person to help me take my business forward?
And if someone is not willing to document, then that should be
That
concerned.
tells
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Believe them when they tell
whether
you.
you are the business owner, not willing to document,
Or the
or
employee.
the employee, friend, family, not willing to sign documents. That's very telling.
Because the only, I saw this on CBS Mornings, and it was Herb Alpert. He started
Oh, yeah.
A&M Records, and he said him and his business partners started that business on a handshake and never did any contract and sold the business, 20 years later for a whole bunch of money. And they did it all on a handshake. Beautiful.
Don't do that.
That was a beautiful story. It was lovely.
Can we have one personal example of hiring your family? Just one that I remember, and it just warms my heart, of a family member that was hired but thought that they could violate the dress code. And the boss had to go to the family member. I'm not calling anybody else. Boss had to go to the family member and was angry. And I was like, well, how did you handle it? They had to say, show me in the dress code where this is appropriate. As opposed to going off like you know better.
Yeah, like it was at home.
Just show me in this document that I gave you where what you have on is appropriate. And if you can't, then you're violating dress code. Maybe you should go home.
And
Even
sent them
I
home.
sent them home.
Well, on that point, I did have to send somebody home.
I'm talking about you.
Look, I don't remember that.
Oh,
But I do remember someone
Because she sends a
coming
lot of
to
people
work
home.
with fishnet, black pantyhose.
oh no, that's
I'm
not who
like,
we talk about.
What?
Oh yeah,
What
no.
are you doing?
Okay.
Yeah. Is this? Yeah. Is this the club in 1989?
Right.
You need to go home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or, hey, if you brought a change because you just weren't sure. As a matter of fact, I think she was smart enough to understand that this may not go well.
Right.
Let me bring some
So
pants.
there was a backup.
Okay. If you have to bring a backup, go with the backup.
Yes. Yeah.
But wait a minute. What?
Okay. Well.
Do you want me to
I'm
tell
always
you?
professional.
I know. Do you want me to tell you what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You sending your son home.
Oh, hell yeah.
And with
Coming
that,
to work looking crazy? Oh, hell no. Okay.
All right.
So that's my
Okay.
blood.
Well,
I can
yeah.
have that reaction.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
when it's
yeah.
not your blood, you might want to be a little more.
Right.
she tried to be as professional as she could.
Yes.
All right. So, what about your friends? They can be good for your business. Put it in writing. Be honest. Be honest about yourself as well as them. And Make sure and also you as the
employee,
family member, you also make sure you communicate with that business owner you're working with around what your expectations are. And then you all can hopefully grow together and it be a strong family business and you can sell it like Herb Alpert did with his friend.
Yes.
All
yes.
right. So, ladies, this leads us into our shooting the topic of the day. Since we're talking about friends, we decided, like, what has been some of our best friends trips? Because we love a friend's trip.
Yes.
So what has been some of you all's favorites?
So mine would be, it was a milestone birthday, and we all went on a cruise back in the day. This was some years back. Okay, it was a little while ago, and picture it.
Picture
it. I was gonna say 19, but this was in the 2000s. I'll give it 2000s in the Bahamas, and the friends are all out on the beach, and we're in the water.
It's beautiful.
We're in the beautiful water, but
cloudy.
it's a little cloudy. I can't remember which one of us had the waterproof camera. This is how long ago it was. We had waterproof cameras that you like got the pictures. Disposable waterproof camera. You got the picture developed, and we're out there and we're taking pictures in the water, and a wave comes. Now you remember?
Oh, I remember that. I'll never forget it.
And the wave comes and it hits
crashes.
Now, first of all, we weren't out that far, but you would have thought we needed saving. You would have thought we were drowning. The first thing I saw, because that was back when before Kina had LASIK surgery, she had prescription sunglasses, and I knew those,
which were super expensive.
Like back in that time, a couple decades ago, those glasses were over like $300.
Yeah, they were expensive.
And her glasses flew off her face. Me always being the money person, I said, Kina's glasses, and I went to try and go get the glasses.
Now, as she's swimming on shore,
right? Because the sand is on my, like I'm scraping my knees on the sand. And I remember when the pictures were developed. There's a picture of this man, because we screamed like we were dying. He's holding my foot, like he's saving me, and I'm on the shore, like I'm on the sand.
On the shore.
And we had sand everywhere.
Everywhere. Places sand shouldn't be.
Sand, I saw sand months later.
Yeah.
It would just fall out your body.
But it was so much fun. And that was
sand.
a trip of like 10 or 12 of us, but it was just us three and Tiffany.
Yeah.
Our girl Tiffany.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the four of us that went out in the waters, was stupid enough to go out in those choppy waters. But that was so much fun.
Yes, it was. It was hilarious later on. He was like, I was dying. People were like, you're on the shore.
Yes. Save me. Help.
All right, April, what's one of your favorite friends' trips?
I haven't really been going on many trips in the past 18 years.
Yes.
But I will say that I really wouldn't call it a trip. But your block party, I think, was one of my favorite celebrations.
Yeah.
Which one was it? Kina Palooza or the most recent one?
The Kina Palooza.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kina Palooza.
Yes.
Kina Palooza. I love the name. I love a theme.
Yes. We had hopscotch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
enjoyed that. It was a family affair. My mother was there.
Yes, she was.
yes.
She was dancing.
So that was nice.
Yes.
Yes,
and her son was in charge of the 6 and under party. They had a ball.
Yeah.
We had everything set up for and apparently they started running through the house at one point where my mother was like, "Hey, take the party back outside." It was a whole crew of them that were running around. Yeah, that was fun.
Yes, that was a lot
I
of fun.
shut down my whole cul-de-sac and threw a party.
Yes.
And I would say one of my, and that one though, April, you weren't on, but it's like my favorite international trip because you did it separately, was going to South Africa.
Oh yeah.
Many moons. That was that in the 1900s?
No, it was
in the 2000s.
It was in the early
It was
aughts.
2000s. Yeah.
But
Early, or is that what they're called? Early
aughts.
aughts?
Never mind, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, that was a real, like, because that was my first time taking that much time off of work to go on vacation.
Yes.
We really got to get together, Americans. Like we work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if the notion of taking 2 weeks off
Right.
of work
And
was
going
like
somewhere.
and going somewhere and just being completely disconnected was like a crazy notion.
Yes.
And so that experience was just amazing.
Amazing. Yes.
Amazing. And going to Zimbabwe and seeing the baboons like sit right next to us.
Yeah, they would just walk right
That were
up to
just
you. Yeah.
like it was a squirrel.
And we saw what are the Pumbaa warthogs?
Oh
and
yeah,
yes,
elephants on the side of the river. Like it was just like crazy. That was so cool.
Victoria Falls.
Yeah, and Victoria Falls were like. You went to did you go to Victoria?
We didn't
Falls?
go to Victoria
Oh, you didn't.
Falls.
Okay, so Victoria Falls, it's one of the wonders of the world. Like when you could see it in the sky, we are over by, and it looks like it's raining, a thunderstorm, and then it just like all of a sudden clears for a second. You see the falls, and then it goes shoosh, right back and closes. It's amazing.
Yes.
And Kimberly had. What your
I
eyes?
had on prescription. I had on prescription sunglasses,
Yes.
but I didn't have a hat.
Yes,
And
and so
so
she couldn't
we
see.
walked through the falls, and it was like, and it got my eyes,
Got
and
her
I was
eyes.
standing there like, "Help me! I can't
Yes.
see." And I felt people walking by me, like I felt. And then finally, Keena grabbed me and said, "Come on!" It got me out into where I can wipe my eyes and see.
And see, because of that, she knew my character.
Yes,
And that's why we're in business together.
I knew I could trust
See,
her.
you gotta look at those other times.
Yes.
I said, "Come on, Kimberly, being dramatic. Let's go." So, what about your friends?
What about your friends?
Yes. What about your friends? So, hope you enjoyed this podcast. Hope you learned something to think about when you are going into business with family and friends. Again, check us out. Balance Your Books. Subscribe if you like it, or have any comments. What happens with you? What are some great tips that you have around what goes on with your friends and family and your business? We'd love to hear it.
Yes.
And we'll talk to you next time.